Hi, I'm Paul Gilbert, Executive Director of Nova Parks, and welcome to the Gene R. Packard story. Gene Packard was a remarkable leader in Fairfax County in Northern Virginia, really had a major impact on preserving the natural resources of our area. She was chairman of the Board of Supervisors, she served on the Nova Parks Board, and she really believed at her core in the preservation of our natural resources. Nova Parks, the Northern Virginia Regional Park Authority, has had a huge impact on the conservation efforts in Northern Virginia for 60 years. That's one of the reasons that Gene Packard was so attracted to the mission and purpose of Nova Parks and served on our board for 24 years in leadership positions. She saw the importance of preserving the land next to the water. That's one of the reasons why we put the Gene R. Packard Center at Occoquan Regional Park. Today we're going to be hearing from some civic leaders who knew her well and are helping to tell her story. We're also here at the Gene R. Packard Center at Occoquan Regional Park, and we're opening a rebuilt, reimagined regional park, and you can see in the background the beautiful LEED certified building that is named after Gene R. Packard.
When I think of Gene Packard, I think of the environment and I think of the work that she's done over the years.
I think Gene recognized early on that preserving our natural habitat and enhancing and protecting water quality were huge attributes that would pay benefits generations hence.
Gene was a powerful advocate for the environment and protecting water quality and clean air and establishing parks. She used every possible lever she could, from understanding how things worked at the Board of Supervisors, to be sure that we focused on those things.
Gene and some of the people that she led had a vision that this county was going to develop, and that we need to, ahead of time, start making some tough decisions and setting aside land so we would have open space and parks and the like. And I think that's an important part of her legacy. The stream valleys are just a piece of that.
Much of what she put in motion was making sure that environmental corridors were saved for future generations. So she really leaves behind quite a legacy.
The Occoquan downzoning that protected water in the Occoquan watershed was a great victory for Fairfax County.
And that really was part of her vision of making sure that we protected the watersheds that flow into our drinking water.
We have two sources of water, the Potomac and the Occoquan. And the Occoquan is a reservoir, but it's really a dangerous one because it's long and narrow, and so it has a lot of land frontage. And so protecting all that land is very important to water quality, and we're very lucky that happened and that we have those two sources, and that one is clean.
So I was the deciding vote on the downzoning. And Gene and I had been on opposite sides of the political spectrum. But they made the case to me this county was going to develop, but that we didn't want this county just developing into townhouses and row houses and shopping centers. Gene had an extraordinary role in moving this through, mobilizing citizens, making the case, making the compromises that needed to be made afterwards.
She was way ahead of her time. And the Occoquan watershed downzoning was the single biggest, most impactful environmental decision maybe in the history of Fairfax County.
You understand, and she did, that being absolutely confrontational today won't help with the people that you need to work with tomorrow. So she knew how to keep things moving forward in the spirit of compromise, but never overlooking her ultimate goal.
And Gene just kept at it. She was never mean about it. She was pretty strident sometimes. I mean, she believed certain things moving it. She knew when to make compromises, and she knew how to mobilize. And that's a very important part. It's nice to be right, but it's also nice to have people behind you.
A longtime member of the Regional Park Authority, the Regional Park System, she just put her stamp on so many things. She was so knowledgeable. So she was a really smart lady. She was willing to roll up her sleeves, really get into the weeds of different issues. And so when you were talking to Jean, you knew that she knew what she was talking about. And she was also willing to listen to both sides. And that really is critical.
She was not at all afraid to call you out if she thought you were wrong, but she didn't do it in an ad hominem kind of way. And I think people respected her integrity and appreciated her authenticity, even when it might make them a little uncomfortable.
She understood the power of citizen input. She understood the power of citizen organization and talking to people who vote on these things. Long before social media.
She paid a political price for her environmentalism when she was chairman of this county, but we're benefiting from her vision and her courage 40 years on.
She was a leader, and I don't think there was anybody could have done a better job on working the parks than Jean Packard, whether you agreed or disagreed with her. This was a niche in terms of preserving open space that was hers.
Unlike a lot of political figures who, when they're disappointed, when they lose election or they don't win what they want next, they kind of disappear. Jean was not one of those people. She doubled down. She got more involved in everything. And I think a lot of people respected that commitment.
She stays on the Northern Virginia Park Authority because she was respected. She looked out for the parks. Everybody understood this was a niche. Once she left being chairman of the board, she didn't stop pursuing her goals and pursuing her dreams for what this county could become. And I think part of her legacy, she stayed with it and continued to have a lasting footprint on what happened in the county.
Once you learn how it all works, you can focus like a laser, and she did, on her passion to get everybody involved to keep us moving forward on the environmental front.
Land use in Fairfax County continues today to reflect her commitment to environmental protection. This is our culture. This is what we're about. And Jean helped to build and establish that culture.
She was invaluable to this county because of her willingness to put her time and her knowledge and her understanding to work to make our life better for all of us.
Jean was a friend of mine. She was a mentor of mine. We worked together for over 30 years. I miss her. I miss her presence. Thank God her spirit's still here. But she really was a role model for so many of us coming up in Fairfax politics, Northern Virginia politics. And she's somebody whose memory and whose legacy need to be cherished.